Hey, my name is Will, and today I want to go over auto gather variables. They're one of the most underrated features in Phonely's platform, and today I'm going to show you why. So let's jump right into it, and I'm going to show you a tutorial of one of the flows that we're working on. So let's say inside of Phonely's platform, you want to collect some sort of information through a variable. Now, if you're not familiar, traditionally, what you would do is you would gather this through what we call a talk block. A talk block lets you converse back and forth with customers. The way that you collect a variable is you'd have to define it here. So let's say you're looking for the caller's name, you could define that variable in the talk block. That is going to gather the caller's name based upon some prompt and some objective that you have there. You're going to give a description, you're going to set a type, etc., etc. Now, that's great, but let's say maybe your flow changed or you don't want to do it that way. You want to minimize the amount of blocks that you have. Well, Phonely has a really cool feature called auto gather that makes that super simple. So rather than having to go in here, add a new block and say, what is the payment amount that the customer is looking for? What you can do is you can define it inside of the block itself. So in this situation, what we can do is we can define the variable inside the actual block that we're using this. We can use this for API requests, payment blocks. We can also use it for calendar blocks, email blocks, you name it. We can put this information here. It's also available post-call as well. So if you want to define it for post-call variables, we can gather that information as well. To give you an example of how this would be super useful is, let's say I'm in the payment block here and I want to collect the amount that the customer is going to donate to our cause. To do this, what we can do is instead of having to define the variable in advance, what we can do is we can click plus and we can create an auto gather variable. For this, I'm simply going to type in the information just like I would previously. So the information that I would want here is the amount. And so that's just simply the variable name. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to type the description, the amount that the customer wants to pay. And we're also going to make sure that this is required and confirm with the customer just so that we know that we're gathering the correct amount before we proceed with the payment. Obviously, this is confirmed a couple times before it actually processes the card in this situation. Now, let's say that I want to have it formatted in a very specific type. So right now I can set it as number, but really what we want for this payment block is we want it to be with 2 decimal points at the end. So we want to have 2 leading decimal points. So if somebody says, I want to donate $34, we need to format that as 34.00. To do that, what we can do is set a custom type. Now, the custom type definition can be formatted in raw natural language of what we want it to be. So this is a prompt that we're informing the AI model of how it should output the format. In this situation, I said format this as a raw number down to the second decimal place. For example, if someone says $34, output 34. This way, it's going to output the exact format that we are looking for without having to do any custom logic, any AI retries, anything like that. The AI model is going to do it. It's going to check to make sure it's right. And when it's right, it's going to go ahead and process the payment. When I do that, I've now created a custom auto-gathered variable. Here, we can go ahead and we can insert that variable just like that. Now, the AI is going to ask the customer how much they're looking to pay at the block. So basically is what happens right before this block happens, we get to this block, it's going to ask that information. It's going to use that information here to go ahead and process the payment on behalf of the customer. As you can see, auto-gather variables are very powerful because they allow you to configure the information without having to add a bunch of extra blocks or complexity into your system. The nice thing about auto-gather blocks also is that if the information was previously gathered, for example, the customer's name, what it does is it automatically confirms with the customer the information that they have is correct before just asking again. Because one of the most annoying things is to have an AI model or have a system that keeps asking you the same question over and over again. So it has the intelligence baked in to know it should confirm, and it shouldn't just say the exact same thing over again. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you find it useful, you can head over to www.phonely.ai to check out and learn how to build your own voice agent in a matter of just minutes.